All right, hello there, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Onimaru.
And I'm Hera.
And this is episode 45 of the Town Center, your podcast dedicated to all things Age of Empires. In today's show, the RedBull Londinium tournament has surpassed all expectations and then some. So it's time to finally have a discussion about it and break down all the big moments for you guys. Then as we speak, the qualifiers for the Brazilian dynasty are well underway, with 6 players already qualified for the LAN that will take place in Brazil. Joining us to help us make sense of all this and more is T90 official Tristan. Thank you very much for taking the time to be here, my friend, as always, and welcome back to the Town Center.
Hey, thank you very much.
If you guys enjoy the show, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you'd like to support us further, please do consider a donation. Link will be in the description box down below. Thank you very much. All right, boys, how's the jet lag? I don't even know how long you guys have been back for.
I've been back for a couple of days, and I have like no jet lag, which is the first time ever. And I feel pretty good about that. So I hit the ground running. I think Tristan was coming home or got home a few days earlier. How's it going there for you?
It's been good. I normally go into Europe now. I just stay up late. So it's like we stay up till 2 or 3 p.m. Or a.m. rather, and it makes the jet lag a lot easier. So no real issues there. I would say I have a little bit of an event hangover right now. You know, it's like after going hard and traveling for a while, there's a little bit of like recuperating as far as emotions go. But yeah, no real jet lag for me.
And I did see you were playing the other day, Tristan. You know, from time to time, I stalk the spectator dashboard and did see T90 official playing some games. Bro, you're a proper addict. You're a proper Age of Empires 2 addict. I like it.
We're doing a TTL Community Cup right now, and it's actually really competitive in the top bracket. So it took me like 4 hours to feel like I was a human being again playing this game. It's brutal. It's like a week and a half off. Even though you're watching it, if you're not actively playing it, it's tough. So yeah, I've been trying to get back in shape.
Listen, is Nilly playing the same cup? Do I have that right?
Yeah, Nilly's in the opposing bracket. We have like 10 players, I think, who are all 2K plus. Highest rank is like 2,500, 2,600. So it's a nice little practice tournament. So,
wait, are you playing in it, Tristan, as well, or are you just casting it?
Yeah, I'm playing it.
Oh,
yeah.
Cool.
Oh, look at that! It's T90, it's Nilly, it's some good old rivalry. Can you guys meet in the final? Is that impossible? I would love to see a Nilly versus T90 finally, man.
Well, so I haven't talked to Nilly about it, but basically we're trying to do the Hera. I'm thinking we're going to have to do the Hera Liereyy, where we guarantee we get to the semis, and we're on opposing sides of the bracket.
Okay.
At the moment, I'm likely first place, and Nilly's likely second in his group, so it might get screwed up a little bit. So we'll see. But
oh, come on, Nilly, you got to win those games, bruv. Gotta make it happen. Yeah, your admin, Rbase. We've been talking from time to time, and he did ask me to actually mention the Community Cup, so I'm kind of glad you mentioned it yourself, because apparently he claims it's the tournament with the most signups ever in Age of Empires 2. A 1v1 tournament, because when you talk about Nations Cup had more, but it's like over 400 signups, which is mind-blowing, honestly. 400 signups for a community tournament, it's crazy. So, well, much respect, you know.
Yeah,
well
it's pretty cool.
All right, boys, but RedBull. Let's talk RedBull. That's what people want us to talk, and so let's do it. The expectations for RedBull Londinium were sky high, and yet they were not only met, but also fully surpassed, in my opinion. The tournament was won by Hera, of course it was, after beating his teammate Liereyy, of course, in the final 5-3 in a series where Liereyy at one point was actually leading 3-0. Viper and Sebastian lost in the semifinals, Zio and Hart were eliminated in the round of 6, while MBL and ACCM didn't make it past the initial group stage, finishing 7th and 8th. Boys, I've been watching Age of Empires 2 for a long time now, boys. Over a decade, I want to say. And now that a few days have passed, you know, I've let the emotions simmer down, I collected my thoughts. I still think we've just watched the best Age of Empires 2 tournament ever, bar none. Does this feeling find any agreement among the distinguished members of this panel? Tristan, let's start with you.
I mean, Hera's the one who won it, you know, so now you're asking me, right? If I say no, I feel like an asshole, but I don't know. I think could be some recency bias. There's so much about it, which is definitely the best ever. When I think of best ever events, it's kind of like the whole package. So I think about what were the rounds like in the early rounds? What was the level like? How good was the final? Was it a LAN? You know, the list goes on. It's really hard for me. I have a lot of nostalgia for epic finals of the past. We had games go to the final game before. This one was a 5-3. It's a bigger conversation, which we don't have time for. In terms of the spectacle, though, in terms of the experience and whatnot, it absolutely is the best. It was incredible to have that many live people in the crowd. I mean, in the same event, we broke the live viewership record, which was insane, right? We had 800, then to 3,500. The crowd atmosphere, I'd be curious to hear Hera's thoughts, but I thought the atmosphere was the best we've ever had for a LAN event. And I thought everyone really played well in the final. I also felt really proud of the whole casting team and the whole show there. So I can't just say straight up yes. I got to be the middle of the road guy.
All right,
but it was pretty damn close, if not the best. Yes, it was pretty awesome.
No, here's the thing. I kind of agree with T90, and I like the way he was coming at it. So like the obvious things, just to reiterate it as well, as far as the show and like the LAN event itself, by far the best. Like it's not even close. Like the atmosphere of the crowd was second to none. Like it was like way better than anything we've ever had. The arena itself, the Royal Albert Hall, was absolutely beautiful. It was an honor to like be on stage there and play. Like win or lose, for me, it didn't even matter going into the day. Like I was just so happy to even get a chance to play there. The entire Red Bull like project felt so passion driven, like from like the sea shanty that they made to the costumes to like the production, everything was just top tier. And you can really feel like it was somebody cared behind this. It's not just like they're pumping out an event. It was like super, super passion driven. And I 100% appreciated that. So as far as the event, it was my favorite by far. I think it's the best AV2 event ever. Hit the biggest live viewer audience, but also the biggest online viewer audience ever for Age of Empires, which is absolutely nuts. So it's breaking records left and right. I think it was great for the game. It went pretty viral as well. It hit some other demographics, not just like the usual AV2 audience. Now, as far as the tournament itself and the games, this is kind of where I'm a little bit with T90. Like recency bias plays a role here. The final was really good for sure. Mm-hmm. Probably one of the best finals we've ever had. I'm not sure if it was the best, but it was one of the best finals we've ever had. And I think the entire tournament was decent. It was solid, but a lot of sets were a bit one-sided, which is why I would be hesitant to say it's the best tournament ever. Like just off the top of my head, as far as games and like excitement, taking away and like the spectacle and the show itself, I feel like the Garrison actually produced better games. Like the Garrison one was like gameplay wise one of the best tournaments we've ever had. It had so many close sets. Double elimination was super intense. And I'm sure there's some other tournaments in the past that also produced like really good sets throughout the tournament. So that's kind of like a detailed answer as well. But you know, just to kind of sum it up, amazing event, one of the best of all times for sure. And it broke a lot of records. So hey, there's that.
Yeah, I wonder for you, Tristan, like from the production side. I mean, again, I was not there. I didn't see it live, but it felt like one of the slickest production. I want to say there was not too much talking in between games, you know. There were no drafts, which I think it's great because I think it's boring to show the draft on screen. So I thought that was great. But from you as someone, you know, who was in contact with production all the time, so did it feel like everything, you know, was a well-oiled machine? Were there any hiccups? How was it like for you?
There were hiccups, but I felt as though like it's our job if there's hiccups to never make that clear. So it's been very good to hear that people feel there were no hiccups. There were no major hiccups. Well done.
Yeah, if you think about El Renado, where you have a full day where there's no footage. So I think they did pretty well in that regard.
I was really concerned, right? Because we had the Heidelberg events, which had technical difficulties with internet, for example. Amongst maybe a couple other things. Then obviously El Renado had the whole day missed. And I think it was only a 4-day broadcast schedule. And we spent that whole day just walking around the castle like, what's happening, you know? This event, switching venues 3 times, just freaked me out, right? I was like, oh, great. Like, we're going to have to deal with getting used to technical difficulties at each venue is what I was worried about. But no, they killed it. And the wild thing, and I don't know how public this is, but for the first 2 days, the production was in a van an hour and a half away from the venues. They weren't even on site.
Right. Yeah, where were you guys? Was it like a studio? What the fuck was it?
You mean like for the first day? The first day was like, I would say like maybe like a podcast studio or something. Like they had a couple different rooms that were themed out. But yeah, I just thought it was amazing from a technical standpoint. They were able to pull off production and everyone being in our ears and handling all of that while being an hour and a half away. Only for the final for Royal Albert Hall did they come on site. So ultimately, it was awesome. Any of the issues that I had were like really minor things. Felt very major at the time. Like, I couldn't speak to production during the finals at all. They didn't know, but like we couldn't. And I finished my water after game 1. And I'm like, water. And then I'm like sweating bullets. And I'm like, hey, I need like a towel or makeup or something. Nothing, dude. We were out on an island up there, Royal Albert Hall. But I mean,
did you get water in the end, or you just no water?
I mean, I finished my water and I finished my Red Bull, and I just had to. I was in the Sahara for 6 games, and then I got it afterwards. That's how it happened. So
that's crazy.
Yeah,
but you guys had like folks next to you. I saw it like from the pictures. They were like, so couldn't you just like, hey, bro, give me a water or something like that? I'll give you $5 or however much it costs.
Dave and I were tempted to steal a piece of pizza from the one guy, but we thought that would maybe be a bit far. So
yeah, fair enough. Hera, walking into the Royal Albert Hall, the whole thing is full. Talk about the feeling, man. It's gonna be so crazy.
No, it was insane. So like the crazy part about it for me is that before I went on stage, like for some reason, like 20 minutes before, they got me there early. We stood, like me and Liereyy stood like literally just a head above underground. So like we just like, I took 2 steps up. So like my head and my upper body is visible. Like my legs are not, right? So like you can barely see me. And I'm waiting there for them to give me the go to do the walk on. They have like the whole introduction, casters were talking, all the good stuff. And then during that time, people near me were like, oh, that's Hera. And then they started waving. And then like more and more of the crowd started waving. And then Liereyy got some as well. And so like the crowd was cheering me and Liereyy well before we got on stage, which was like super cool. Really set the atmosphere for the moment. And I think like the walk on itself was super, super intense. Like I just walked on, I'm walking right through the crowd. But then I also feel that there's people all around me, like above me, to the right and left of me, close and far. And it was something I've never experienced before. Like the sound there, it's like a roar. It's not like a few people cheering. It's a roar. Like you don't hear anything specific. So yeah, just an absolutely electric moment in my opinion.
It's a pretty big concert hall. It's not like the biggest in the world or anything like that, but it's a pretty big concert hall and a great acoustics and all that. Yeah, crazy. Just to put a little dent here in all the positivity, it's got to be me doing it, I guess. I guess I could have done without the whole conversion chamber crap.
I'm so happy I missed that.
Yeah, you guys pieced out. You were on the schedule.
Yes, I'm so happy. They messaged us later like, where's Hart, Hera, and Liereyy? Like, we need them back for filming. We're like, wait, we finished the filming. What's that? And then we're like, screw it. Like, I'm not going to go back. I'm just going to go get some food. Next day, we find out that they had like Viper and MB on a chamber. Membo's doing all kinds. Bro, thank God we missed it. Honestly,
bro,
that was.
I don't even feel bad for the players. That was 3.5 hour recording session where I'm sitting in the itchiest piece of clothing known to man. All for, like, my thing was more so the stream. If they would have streamlined it a little bit more, that would have been great. Because it was like we were sitting there waiting for 35 minutes. They're trying to get players. It was a bit of an ordeal. I don't know, Nelson. Obviously, you got to be that guy that's the negativity. I thought people enjoyed it. I thought it was a bit cheesy. But I thought it was fun, and like I feel like for the fans to be able to connect with the casters and the players a little bit more, it was a unique way to do so. I like the alternative is what you make it more serious, and it's like, how do you even make that more serious?
Just don't make it. Just don't make it. No, I'll tell you what. It reminded me way too much of the Order of the Sheep. And that's not a compliment. So you guys know what I'm talking about. Grand Melee. I think that was your first S tier victory, by the way, Hera. I mean, the beginning of the whole series.
You wouldn't have known because when I was giving like the interview, they just took me off stage in a plastic bag or...
Yeah, you remember that. Tristan was... Oh, Tristan, you were not at the LAN, right? It was like...
No.
Yeah, you were not
I did see it, obviously. But yeah, they like... For those that don't know, this event was not seen as a very successful event. And the conclusion, especially, they were trying to create some theme, I guess, for future tournaments. But yeah, Nilly and I were having the same thoughts. Nilly was like, "Oh no, this reminds me of like Order of the Sheep." I was saying like, Nilly, if there's going to be a lot of people who never saw that or weren't aware of that. So hopefully there weren't many viewers who had the same cringe level as you did, Nelson.
My take on it is that I think the fans like that because they just like something silly is always nice. But I think it would have been way better if they did like a little like quiz game or something, which they did a little. I don't know if they showed it. We did a little bit of filming with quiz games. They should have just done more of that. I think that's like putting like personalities in like casters and players or like pinning us against each other or something. Having a little segment like that with some AoE2 themed questions. I think that's like by far better than, any conversion chamber, shenanigans.
Yeah, full agreement there. Okay, folks, I'd like to talk a little bit about the grand final, and go through some of the games. So we don't have to go through all of them. And I also know Hera's made a video about it, so you guys can just check it, the video. I believe it's already been uploaded today, Hera, right? So, but I'd love to hear from Tristan. I'd love to hear from Hera. I don't know. I kind of grouped up together the first 3 games. And if you guys want to talk about any of these first 3 games in particular, we can do it. But it kind of feels to me, so these were the first games that Nearly won. Liereyy won. He only won the first 3 games. And it kind of felt to me like there was like a common theme here, Hera, and you can let me know. Of course, I'm trying to sort of generalize the whole thing. I'm pretty sure there was more nuance. But the theme was Liereyy being incredibly aggressive early on, gets an initial advantage, either by microing better or a better army position or because he surprised you or whatever. And then he just makes the initial advantage work, which is sort of easier in Empire Wars, I would claim. And he just makes it work from there and maybe caught you off surprise. Was that how you saw it too? Little advantages gained earlier on and just capitalize on it?
I would say, yeah, that's like a good summary of the first 3 games. But what I quickly realized, I noticed some of it initially, but what I realized after, when I did the full review on my in a YouTube video, like a 2-hour review, went through all the games and in detail and whatnot, what I realized from doing that review is that Liereyy actually had insane preparation for the first 3 games. Like, he was doing crazy stuff. Like, first game, he had like a perfect counter strategy with like a weak civ. Second game, he had like the Way, which is like the best civ. My civ was supposed to counter him early with the Turks. And then he skips Horsecaller, which nobody was doing, just to gain a little bit of extra early game advantage, just to play it safe. And like, nobody does that. Everybody goes Horsecaller, Bidaxe to get the extra villagers, which makes them weak, but it scales better. He did not want to take that risk. So like, that's a call that other players wouldn't do. And Liereyy did it, and it was just so good for him. And then like the third game, he practiced that matchup like 10 times in practice, and he told me the only way Ethiopians win is if they go skirm opening into scouts. But that's like the most unintuitive thing ever. And me having not practiced that matchup that much, I went for like the natural thing, which is archers into scouts, which got punished. So, this is a lot of compliments to Liereyy, not just on his excellent micro and aggression, but also he had amazing preparation. So I think, he really showed up strong for those 3 games.
Tristan, you're watching 3-0 lead. You're thinking, I'm going to be casting the first final where Hera's actually going to lose his streak? Or you did think, nah, there's still a lot of final ahead here.
I mean, it's best of 9's a completely different story, right? Like, best of 9, there's a lot of wiggle room there. That's 2 games that Hera has to lose. There are very different maps upcoming. So if you listen to the cast, Dave and I were very much like, there's very much good chances here. What I was feeling like with Hera was, is he going to be able to get control of a game, right? Because it was like 3 games that were looped into one where he just got smashed in the face and he's never able to get control. And I've seen it before where the eventual like champions, right? They get that control, they get that feeling of like, okay, I'm playing Age of Empires 2, setting the initiative myself, and that could snowball into like 2 or 3 more games. And that's what happened. It felt like it was 2 games where Hera was just like, all right, I'm on top of it. I'm in control. Actually, it was 3. It was 3. And then I think the Rampart one was the one which was a bit more back and forth there. So yeah, I mean, we'd seen Liereyy get leads before. We've seen Hera come back before. There definitely was that part. Like, Dave and I are like, is this going to be the moment, But yeah, I mean, Hera's won enough S tiers in a row where we always had to just look at the draft and say, he's got some good civs and he's got more stamina than anyone in the game. He could turn it around. But, you say that, I'm not sure what the percentages would have been if you would have asked me in that moment. I probably would have said like 60-40 for Liereyy when he was up 3-0.
Wait, that's exactly what you said, actually, because I want to mention this. You guys had a really cool casting moment, but just to give you context, like in that moment, I'm like, oh, I'm going to lose 5-0. Like my idea was like, I need to get my shit together because I'm getting snowballed out of this. And it's so easy to get snowballed in Empire Wars, like 4-0s, 5-0s. It happened plenty of times in the tournament. And then there's a cool casting moment at the 0-3, so like 3-0 for Liereyy. Dave goes, is it wrong for me to say that this is still a 50-50? And then T90 goes, honestly, you might be right. I would say like 55 or 60 for Liereyy. But like both of you guys had that call where you still had a lot of faith in me. So actually my wife told me like it was a cool moment. You should go back and check it out. The casters were still believing in you at that moment. So I think it was a good call from you guys. And I think you guys had more faith in me at that moment than I had myself. But no, it was a really, really cool moment. So yeah, crazy to think that that's the odds when I'm down 3-0. good confidence for me for the next event, I suppose.
That's actually, I was about to mention it later on. That's actually my favorite moment when you're 3-0, you're down 3-0. The cam focuses on you and you're still smiling. You're not laughing, you're smiling, modestly confident, and you start hyping up the crowd. And I'm like, yeah, this guy's not tilted.
They hyped me up.
Well, I saw you raising
smiling. Yeah.
In that moment, I was like, okay, this guy is not tilted. The final is not done. This guy is very much in it. I thought it was a great moment.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's like I wasn't tilted at all because, like, for me, like I said, going into the day, I'm so happy to play in the Royal Albert Hall. For me, that's like amazing, right? I don't even care. Even if I lost 5-0, I'd walk out smiling. But what happened was at the 0-3, some guy in the front of the crowd says, "Let's go, Hera!" And then a bunch of people in the crowd started like clapping and stuff. And so I had that smile on my face, and then I couldn't help but laugh and wave a little bit to the crowd. So it wasn't so much me hyping them up. I think it was like them hyping up me, which is really cool to see. So shout out to the crowd for that. It was a good boost of confidence for sure.
Tristan, I remember doing El Rey now or Legacy. I think it was Legacy. And I remember Dave saying in the cast, I can't even hear myself because the crowd's just so loud. How was it like at the Royal Albert Hall? Is it something like that too? Like difficult to hear yourself?
It was way louder.
Yeah, it was definitely way louder. I think in every other venue we were disconnected from the crowds somewhat, right? Like in Germany we were in like a little like box, so like there was a layer of glass between us. And it was also a much smaller crowd. In Spain, we were like elevated and pushed to the back. Here we were in the back, but we were like surrounded by people. And we were told that morning, they're like, "There's gonna be no one in the boxes next to you. You're gonna have like some space." No, dude, bullshit. Like people were right there, right? Like so yeah, it was definitely way louder. But like at a certain point, you just kind of get used to the background noise, right? Like there's a certain level of noise that you just become accustomed to, and you're focused on doing your job, and you for the most part just tune that out. So for me, I mean, for the players, there's lots of nerves they've got to perform. I've got to perform as well, right? Like if I have a horrible cast in the Royal Albert Hall, that would not be something that I would ever be able to forgive myself for. So for me, it was like, I think like game 3, that was where my nerves dipped a little bit and I started to relax. So
cool. I mean, I think it's important. I mean, it's such a big moment. Of course, you're working, but you still get to enjoy it deeply. I mean, you need to soak in that moment. So I think that's very important. And I think that comes with experience too, of course. I mean, you have plenty of experience doing this shit. So at some point, yeah, okay, things are going the way they used to go. I got my game, so glad to hear it for you. All right, so then I'd like to skip to game number, was it 4? So that's Glaces. Did you guys say Glaces, Glasses? Is it Glaces? What is it?
I thought it was Glaces, but Dave said Glasses a bunch, so either or.
All right, well, okay, I'll take both. So Hera goes for Romance, Liereyy goes for Spanish. So as soon as you see the Spanish here, Hera, is it clear to you, so this guy's going to try to FC me and is going to use Navy to sort of try to stop me from getting to his base? You knew it right away, that was the plan.
Yeah, I knew right away, and the reason why we knew, and probably like there's a bit of a disconnect between player preparation at that moment and what the fans knew. So like from the fans' perspective, they didn't really understand how strong Navy was at that point because only Mr. Yo has shown it in a tournament against in that tournament against Viper, the round before. And Mr. Yo lost that game playing Navy defense, but he lost because he has no hands. And he told me that after. He said, "Bro, the strat's really good, but I suck." And he told me, he said, "Viper played so bad, but I played worse and I couldn't help it." Like Mr. Yo was like so convinced that he had better strategies and that Viper was playing bad, but he was just playing so much worse that it didn't matter. So the Navy strat looked horrible, but in my opinion, it's like absolutely meta. Like that's like the way the map should be played for sure. And the way you do it is you just make like 2-3 galleys and then nothing can pass. Like 2-3 galleys, 1 Hulk, and then like 1 spear and nothing can pass. If the guy tries to run through, you're gonna kill all his army. So what I did to counter Liereyy, who was going for that, is I went for the FC timing, and that worked really well. But if I had committed to Feudal Age into the Navy, I would lose for sure. So I think I just like countered his like anti-meta style, even though his style should have been meta. It just that we needed more games. We figured it out the day before in practice, so it was kind of cool.
I really feel like the bigger issue is like you need food for conquistadors, and that map is like dominated by controlling the food. And I mean, it was smart from Hera. It just felt like Liereyy, even if he got the castle up without the crossbows coming in, feels like he wasn't going to have the food because going Conquistador, means that you're also not able to go for like fletching and bodkin arrow. So my feeling while I was casting it at that moment was Hera could just camp the river and just focus down his food vills and just like boom up behind, which is part of what Hera did. But I feel like the where the game was not won, but the big thing from Hera was scout going forward. I believe you saw 2 docks. You immediately knew what he was going to do. And then you're just like, all right, we're not going to just like nosedive into this. We just play eco and crossbow.
Well, to be fair, just to add to that, right? Like the fact that I was Romans there was a pretty big deal because I was able to get to cast stage 30 seconds faster, roughly. Yeah. And if I didn't kill his ships, like when I went into engage there, I actually intentionally killed some galleys. Had I not done that, he would get the warship upgrade, which doesn't cost any food. So we just picked that up, maybe fletching, and then even with crossbows, I can't engage his food villagers because the ships can be further forward than where the villagers are taking shorefish. So you don't need bodkin arrow. You just like kind of patrol your shores. I come close, you take a shot, and I have to back up. But the fact that I kind of killed some galleys and did damage before he got that warship upgrade, I think that was like super crucial. Mm-hmm. So I think it was a timing thing rather than like a strategic thing from Lierey's perspective.
Mm-hmm. I think the big moment there, which you still haven't talked about, is the crossbow micro, where Hera just goes like, okay, there are 3 million Ls. I'm doing it.
Conquistadors are there. He's not microing on the front anymore. Will he be able to keep this group alive as he runs away?
Hera splits in towards 3 mangonels, and he's gonna snipe one down. Lierey's trying to get the shots off. Hera splits around that as well.
Crazy, crazy. Don't try this at home, folks. This is not fair. This is not what Age of Empires 2 is designed around. Hera's micro, unbelievable. He's still taking losses, but he was supposed to lose those crossbowmen on the front. They should not exist anymore.
Especially with Conquistadors raiding him at the back. That was unbelievable from Hera.
Well, I was 0-3, so I was like, in my mind, I'm like, I need to get some confidence back in the set. So when I did the review, I'm like, I was telling people that my thought process in that moment was, I'm taking any fight presented to me, and I just want to micro because I knew I had a good position. So I just need to put some skill on Liereyy so he feels like he can't just have his way with me, like which is what was happening the entire set at that point. So I want to get some confidence back, get like the feeling that I can keep up with this guy. And in the end, actually, like a lot of my fancy micro initially was like very well stopped. He matched it with his mangonel attack grounds and whatnot. But then after I was able to get some cool moments, I'm really happy with that.
Mm-hmm, cool. So next map is Vulpine. That's Byzantines for Hera against Georgians. And of course, Tristan, the big moment. The game feels kind of even-ish, and then Liereyy loses his Imperial HTC. You guys notice it right away. How much does it actually change the outcome of that game in your view, losing the MTC?
I think that game is won by Hera regardless, but I think that's another thing that was a mental blow to Liereyy. And so we see it a lot when you have someone go up like 2-0 or 3-0, and then the other person comes back and ties it. All the momentum's already going to be with the player that's coming on the back of winning 3 straight, right? The player who started off hot is going to feel like, some mental pressure there, maybe some fatigue, whatever. I think Liereyy was already getting to the point of like, oh God, am I letting this slip away? Then he loses the MTC. Then he also loses his blacksmith, which needed bracer. Like, this game could be so unbelievably punishing at times. And it felt like it all happened at a really poor moment there for Liereyy. So I think Hera still wins. But I think that might have done a little bit more emotional damage to Liereyy just because of the misstep. In fact, I remember he reacted physically. Like if you go back and watch it, he was like, so he really was disappointed with that.
Lierey's actually a pretty expressive guy. I mean, when something wrong happens, he really does show it. It's like the kind of guy who keeps it to himself or something. Hera, I know Byzantine just feels such a strong civilization. I mean, just in general, maybe especially on Empire Wars, where you don't really have time to wall or anything like that. So are you still confident that Byzantine just beat Georgians there?
For sure. Like with the 5 relics, I definitely have like a winning late game there. But what I'm kind of in line with Tristan. Like if the Imperial HTC doesn't go down, we definitely have a game. I'm still favored to win it, but like it feels like it's playable for Liereyy. But the biggest thing is really like the fact that it was his mistake, and it's kind of like a basic mistake at that. That's such a big mental blow, and that did more damage than losing that game in any other way. So, really, really unfortunate for him there. And one thing I want to comment about this as well is that he actually made this mistake because he was trying to play perfectly. So like what he did was he stopped making villagers from the forward town center. So he's playing really well, and then he just selects all TCs and clicks Imperial Age. But how that works for the game is that it's going to click Imperial Age from the TC that's free. And it just so happened that the forward town center had no villagers, so it was free. And like Liereyy actually lost by playing too good there, which is, kind of fun.
That's a big problem I have. I lose so much because I'm just playing too good.
Yeah. Relatable.
We all feel that. Yeah, we all feel that. Yeah, true.
Nelson's the same at 1600. He has this problem all the time.
1600, exact same thing. It's the only reason I lose games because of that. Okay, guys, the big one then. Rampart. What a crazy, fantastic, incredible game. Let me hear it from your perspective, Hera. Just talk me through the game. When you're in that moment, you're losing, you feel like you're losing. How do you feel like you can come back to the game?
Well, my favorite comeback moment, I think there's like a lot of different comeback moments, a lot of things that like had to happen for me to win that game, because Burgundians is like the best team on that map by far, and like Vikings are like nowhere to be seen on the tier list for that map at least. And so there's a lot of moments that had to go specifically my way to even have a chance. Don't get me wrong, I made a lot of mistakes as well to like fall behind and make things harder, but the biggest moment I think was just the coin flip castle. So like at some point I was like getting raided left and right, and I'm like, this game's completely unplayable. If I don't do something right now, I will lose. So I made a decision like this, like zero hesitation, 25 villas from the top castle, or top town center, sorry, sent them forward for a forward castle right on his hill. And thank God I sent 20 villas because he reacted instantly. Still couldn't stop it though, which that was like the one move that actually gives me a chance to win. So I was really happy I found it. I think that was a crazy moment, to be honest. And then the casting and the atmosphere from the crowd, by the way, I went back to watch it. Insane. Like that was like peak AW2, honestly.
The siege range is everything. Hera will want you to go for something wild. Hera is going to go for something crazy. He knows he can't castle at home, but hold on a second. He is able to maybe clear up this siege. He's trying his best. He misses one again. Will he get the next one? I'm not sure. His crossbows will get hit. That's horrible. Villagers coming forward.
How quickly does Liereyy notice this? He's very busy on the front side. The rabbits are blocking.
The bunnies
are blocking the castle foundation, but it's gonna go
up
here. There's so many villagers. Liereyy will send villagers of his own to try and deny this, but look at Hera's economy. What's gonna be left?
I have no clue. We have not seen this scenario all tournament, so forgive us if we miscall this one, because this just does not happen. They are both going to be taking critical damage. It is all about adaptation. Dave, what do we even do with this?
I don't know what to say.
You can hear anything, right? With your headphones and all that, you can hear anything.
No, I just hear like noise, but like if I go back to the cast, Dave was like, "Oh my god!" And then it's like he's going for a castle, and then like left and right, the crowd was going crazy. It was such a good moment. But in the moment, I just hear noise,
Yeah, crazy. Yeah, Tristan, tell me how you saw that game.
No, I mean that was your one win condition, right? Like that was the only thing that you could do. You place a defensive castle there. There's 5 reasons why that's a bad move. The crazy thing is like that gave you a chance at coming back, and there was still some heavy downsides. So yeah, easily the best game. I consider that to be the best game of the tournament because of the moment, because of the situation, right? I know there were some other games, but you have to factor in the situation, and it's in a final game 7. And it was just like some tiny things here, there, like a couple villagers being saved in a town center. A couple extra villager raids from the random berserks from those castles that Liereyy couldn't keep track of. But at the same time, it's like so many things left to wonder for Liereyy. It's like if he had 2 rams with any of those knights at any point, or cavalier at any point before Hera gets to pike, but could Hera actually hold against that? Can he take slightly better fights with the paladins? Can he skirm switch? There's, unfortunately, I think regardless,
bombard cannons,
we have some big questions. Yeah, bombard cannons as well. There's so many things now you can question Liereyy for, but truthfully, Hera's the only one that wins there, right? Like Liereyy did enough to win 5 times over. So, incredible game. I also loved how it like went close to the timer, right? So like Leary's then like just dropping monasteries, which I think was super preemptive, but still he was doing that. Yeah, it kind of had everything. It was sick.
What do you think of the score win condition? Obviously, for some context, we kind of have to have it because of like the venue and whatnot. But that aside, do you like that there's a score win condition to kind of keep players fighting and not camping? Or would you rather it be removed, or at least like make it like further into the future in the game, so maybe like 1 hour 30 or 2 hours. What's your take on that?
Well, first off, I think it could promote camping. It could go both ways, right? It can get one player to force fights, but I think it can also promote camping. Like in the Yo Hart game, Yo at that point was like he's sitting back because he's 100 pop. So I think it goes both ways. I think it's so niche. It's been in all of our Red Bull events, both online and LAN, and we didn't see it that frequently at all. So I think it's fine. I think players know exactly what it is. It's such a long period of time. Let's not forget it's Empire Wars. So we're not starting in Dark Age, and a lot of these maps we're seeing it on, there's aggression right away when the game starts. So I don't know. I think it's cool. And I think people will always complain about anything. Anyone who complains about it massively, I don't see their arguments just because it's not super frequent. Like if it was really frequent, if it was happening multiple times a series, if it was a lot of games where one person didn't quote unquote deserve to win and they're winning with time limit, then I'm like, that's an issue. But I thought it was fine. Like I think like Hart versus Yo was the only one where Yo was probably going to die, and Hart could have done 7 different things to win that game earlier. So.
I mean, it definitely brings some hype.
Yeah.
The time limit.
Yeah, it does.
Right? So, I mean, from a competitive standpoint, maybe you don't want to have it. You want just the best player, the best performing one to win. But it does bring, I mean, everybody was thinking about the time limit at some point, right? Does Liereyy get to keep his advantage or not? I saw someone suggesting, which I thought was a very, very good idea, to go for Flemish Revolution as Liereyy. And then you ideally get a score bump. We did test it. There's no score bump from Flemish Revolution, though. Yeah. Because I believe that used to be the case. When the Flemish militia was actually more expensive, you did get a score bump from Flemish Revolution. So ideally, you have villagers that are only worth 50 resources, and then you have units that are worth a lot more suddenly. But the price for the technology is now so high, and the price for the Flemish militia has been reduced that you actually lose score. You lose like 100 score or whatever.
The greatest scam of all time, dude. Can you imagine?
You would have been, if you would have account for that. I mean, I don't know if he does anything in terms of army, because I now suddenly have 120 army or whatever. I don't know if that does anything, but yeah, in any case, for people suggesting it to do it only because of the score, it would not have worked. But I mean, the idea I thought was pretty cool to think about, actually. All right, so then we have the last map of the series. That's Loch Ness. And I also like to hear your perspective there on that game, Hera. So Liereyy wins water. He goes for a boom, but then he forgets to collect the relics, and you punish it immediately because you collected the relics, obviously. He doesn't wall the sides. Were those the things that maybe cost him the game there?
I think he could have been a bit more proactive on those things. I think the problem there for him is that the fact that I went back on water and then he wins it again the second time, he probably thought it was like, okay, if I just win water, I win the game. And that was kind of the position, right? Because I was so far behind at that point. But the issue there for him is that I never die. I'm just behind. But I took the relics, and he's fast to the imp, but it doesn't really matter because I have all my economy. He's raiding me a little. It doesn't really matter. I have a few monks. And then walling the sides, I think that's easier said than done. MBL was telling him, yo, you just need to put 5 layers of fortify wall, like Black Forest style. But there's so many things going on that even if he tries to do that, I can just go for a forward castle there and then force my way in. And as soon as I get into one area, it's just the game is wide open. Also, if he's focusing on the wall, I can redock and take water. So he would have to play really, really well to knock down all of my potential comeback mechanics into that game. And you have to keep in mind that I'm doing this with 7 relics as well. So even if he's going for massive walls and whatnot, I can just bring 10 traps literally, and then start just trapping down walls, and I'd get in eventually, right? So he could have probably played better and been a bit more strategic and proactive, but I don't think it would necessarily make the game a free win. I think the game was still really close, no matter how you look at it.
Mm-hmm. Tristan, I also thought he could maybe, again, that's also easy to say afterwards, obviously, he could have made a more effective use of the Luch wands. Did you feel that?
Yes, that's true. Yeah, he was always in one spot. He should have been patrolling left and right with those guys for sure.
I saw a lack of experience in the late stages there for Liereyy, and I've seen this before with him in tournaments. I think the fact that he just stomps people before imp becomes a factor, or late imp becomes a factor so frequently, maybe leads to some issues here.
That's such a good point. I agree with that.
Yeah, like he just kills people so fast he doesn't experience the struggle of the late game, right? Like that's a map for me. It's extremely hard to end the game, and when you're playing up against Hera, it's extremely hard to end the game. So you can't just think I could take this area of the map and win the game because of that, which is essentially what he did. You have to do all the small things, which is everything you mentioned, Nelson. The walls, like at that point, they've got 130 villagers. Hera should never walk through with like 2 or 3 vills there. You could wall with 5 instead of 1, right? Or like, I think some relic contest. He had an archer range to my knowledge. Some players have gone for a couple cav archers. Just like 5 or 6 cav archers. Do something to make Hera work hard to get those relics instead of getting them for free. But also traction trebs were extremely late. Like if you go back and you look at the usage of the Lush wands, it was really ineffective. They weren't patrolling the shorelines for a long time. Hera, you did do a good job at converting the occasional one, so I think that he got mind gamed a bit. But yeah, like traction trebs never came through the middle, not once. Like he had full water control. He didn't do any pressure through the middle. So obviously that's credit to Hera to making it awkward for him fighting on the sides. But I did feel like it was an either or situation for Liereyy. You either have the sides walled or you are more competitive for the relics and then adapt from there. And unfortunately for him, Hera got through and the left side was just a massive headache. And like Hera said, he just never really took any damage.
Yeah, and I mean, it had to dawn on him, the fact that he lost the game before. That must have had to play a role too, right? At that moment in the final. In any case, fantastic final. Hera takes it. Is it the number 16 now? S-tier 16 term is in a row? Yeah. And of course, we already mentioned it, and it was widely, reported that we had a new viewership record, and not a small one. So on RedBull El Reinado, which was the previous record, we had 85,000 viewership peak. In this one, we had 115,000 peak viewership for an Age of Empires 2 tournament. And if you were to tell me, boys, just like 2 years ago, we would break the 100,000 barrier. Maybe 1 year ago, actually, we would break the 1,000 viewership barrier. It would have been crazy to think about, and we did it. I mean, a testament to you, the players, to you, the casters, Tristan, the content creators, and especially in a moment where viewership was actually trending downwards, to have something like this now boost us a little bit. I think it's great for the game, Tristan.
Yeah, 100%. I love it when people say we can't do things, Nelson. I love that. That makes me very happy, but I mean, logically, it did feel like it was trending downwards. I think it's just a sign that if you do, there's more eloquent ways to say this, but something really badass, right? Like if you have a really unique, really badass event in esports, that there's going to be more people tuning in, and that's what happened. So I think it's as you said, it's a testament to everything we have in our scene. I think we've got amazing competition, amazing players, but I'm also very proud of the talent as well that presented the event. And then, of course, like everything that RedBull did as well to make us look more professional and like do our job. Yeah, like the costumes. Just, the whole body of work was really sick. So I'm really proud.
Cool, amazing. All right, boys, we have to move on. I still feel like we could spend so much time talking about RedBull. We have to move on. There are other things to talk about. So RedBull won't be the only LAN tournament in this calendar year, though. In fact, the next one, the Brazilian Dynasty, is just a few months away, and it will take place in São Paulo, Brazil, from the 1st till the 5th of July. There will be 3 qualifiers, 2 international ones, and 1 regional qualifier for South American players only. 11 players will be able to qualify for the LAN, with Hera being the only invited player, for a total of 12 who will be present at the event. The first international qualifier is already done, which means we already have 5 names who qualified for the event. Have you guys watched some of the games, or not really?
I did.
I watched a decent amount.
Cool. So we have Viper beating Doubt for one, I guess, not the craziest of upsets here, if you're being honest. ACCM beats Cito. I mean, ACCM is an interesting case as always, Hera, because he seems to underperform on LAN tournaments. Again, we're kind of used to it right now. But when it goes back to online tournaments, like it's the good old ACCM. And Cito actually beat Winchester, which is to say Cito was not a pushover or anything like that, right?
I think ACCM, like Yo, play better when there's lag, because they always play when there's like 200 ping. Like they always play on 200 ping. So they're so used to that. So when they have to suddenly play on 0 ping, their whole play style that they're always used to, of like trading army for villagers and like playing map control rather than like sharp micro, it just doesn't work as well in LAN events. So I actually think ACM and Yo specifically have like a harder time at LANs, generally speaking. Not to say that they can't win or they can't perform at a LAN, but it's just that they have to make some adaptations there, more so than some of the other players. But no, online, ACM is easily top 5. And in LAN, he's still a top 10, but, he sometimes can't hit that top 5 that he normally gets to.
Interesting. So then freaking Andy beats Lewis 4-3. Lewis again, Tristan, 1 game away. 1 game away. He was so happy that it was in the same bracket that Andy was like, oh yeah, Andy, I'm good. I got a chance, yeah. Well, what do you make of Lewis, Tristan? Do you see him like making the big lands in not too long in distant future?
It's hard to say no, right? Because he's so close so many times. Right? So I think and also in different settings. Empire Wars, he was 1 win away from beating MBL. I felt like the last 2 games there was definitely a little bit of like underdog, like lack of experience, things that I think he can easily fix. Also the replacement qualifier, I think 1 game away from getting through, and now against Andy as well. The good news for him is there is a replacement or not a replacement qualifier, but like a second qualifier that he can try and push through. So maybe this is the one, but I think when you look at players in AoE, if they have risen up to be at that level within such a short span of time, they've truly got potential. So I feel like there's I look back at like most pros' careers, and they've had just like each year the tiny progression. For some people, like someone like Sebastian, that's been like 7 years even, right? For Lewis, it's been like what, 3? Maybe 3.5. I don't know. I might be exaggerating.
I would say 2.5. No, I think it's even less than that. Yeah, I think it's even less. Lewis had a crazy rise. Maybe not Liereyy like, but almost. Yeah,
he's good.
So then we have you have Yo beating Sebastian 4-2, and then you have Liereyy beating Tato 4-2 as well. Liereyy actually started losing 2-0. It's kind of the opposite of what happened against Hera. Okay, so there were some notable absences, which were MBL and Hart, and those guys will be present now in the second qualifier, and we're going to get to that right now. So the brackets for the second qualifier, I mean, assuming everybody actually beats the ones they were supposed to beat, and the favorites always win, you're going to have in bracket A, Hart and Lewis playing the deciders. So, what do you see there, Tristan? Lewis actually beat Hart recently. What was it? TTL 3-0, I think, right?
Yeah, I think
he 3-0'd Hart in TTL.
Yeah,
Lewis beat Hart in TTL. Yeah,
I think it could be pretty close. I think like Hart typically has a little bit of like, sometimes he doesn't bounce back into the next event quite as much as he was if he just performed very well at the previous event. I felt like, for example, with like TTL, like maybe he wasn't like fully motivated or in good shape because he was focused on Red Bull. Red Bull just ends, and now there's this event. Think about it from Lewis's perspective. Lewis wasn't at Red Bull. Lewis, the maps, the settings were known. Like Lewis is staying in really good shape. Like this has been his next priority. So, I still think like if Hart's playing at his maximum, that Hart wins there. But I could see Lewis doing it. So I'm gonna make it interesting and say Lewis wins 4-3.
Easy. 4-3. Okay, so bracket B, again, assuming all the favorites win. Barls and Doubt in the last game. Hera.
Oof. I'd go with Doubt, but I don't know. Did Doubt win the Gold League? What happened with that? Let me just ask that question. Did he qualify?
He went to the playoffs. Yeah. He went to the playoffs. He was in solid shape, but I mean, Barls is like on paper. I think Barls is playing better Age of Empires. It's just we've seen them play enough times, and we know their reputations. I think that, like, I'm with you, Hera. It's like no, Doubt could never lose to Barls, but I don't know, man. Barls is playing pretty good.
I think Barls is the favorite, but I think I would want Doubt to win. But I never like put too much emotion into Doubt, because the more emotion I put into him winning, the more I'm just like I'm looking at every mistake. Like I can't watch his games anymore. So I'm like, I want Doubt to win, but I'm not gonna watch. Like I watch from like this, Like I don't want to be emotionally invested, because then I'm always let down. So. I think Barros is the better player, but I hope, Doubt's a good friend of mine for many years now, so I hope he can make it. Just so I can make fun of him and his gameplay in Brazil. Like, it's more fun to make fun of him when he's in the LAN, not in the qualifiers. No one's talking about that. So
it's harder. Yeah, sure. Bracket C, Sebastian and Cito. Tristan.
Oh man, that's a really tough one for me. I thought Cito played really well. I was a little surprised that he lost 4-1 to ACCM. I watched a lot of his games. I thought it could have been much closer. But you got to go with the player who's made the lands, the player who has shown improvement. and that's Sebastian. So I have Sebastian as my favorite. Would give Sito in that matchup like 35, maybe 40% chances. I actually worry about Sito's stamina more than anything in a really long set. So if the games go very late and they're a bit of a grind, I think maybe Sebastian's got that extra edge there.
And Sebastian, by the way, crazy finish in Red Bull as well. Great performance. Did he beat? Was it Hart? I believe it was an amazing series. Was it Sebastian Hart in this?
Yes,
that was really good. That was probably the second best series of the tournament after the finals, I would say. Like, that was actually a banger. I was on my seat, just freaking yelling at everything. I was fangirling on both sides. Everyone was making good plays between Hart and Sebastian. It was super fun. I value I put Sebastian higher up as the favorite versus Sito as well, so I'm in agreement there. And I think Sebastian is the kind of guy that really works on his mentality, so he's always getting stronger and stronger every tournament, which is good.
Interesting. Bracket D, Tato and MBL. Big one. Tato and MBL. Tristan.
I mean, it's so tough for me because MBL is always that X factor, right? And like at Red Bull, he made Red Bull with awesome gameplay and with his chaos, but also when he was there, it didn't feel like he really felt like he could make a deep run. I'm gonna go with Tato, but again, like 2 years ago, maybe we say Tato's a shoo-in for every single LAN. Some inconsistencies there for him right now. So I could see both. Is it too crazy to say I could see both players not making it to the final round? Maybe that is a bit crazy. But like Dogao's in there. I think Dogao's really been practicing hard for this. Things will be interesting. But if it had to be Tato MBL, I would definitely say Tato, just because I think Tato will be able to adapt to the different maps more than MBL would with good preparation.
I mean, he had some very nice strategies cooked up versus Liereyy. Again, he started leading to 0 against Liereyy. So that does say something. And then bracket E, Hera, Vinchester, and Nikov. Again, assuming there are other very good players. You have Lucho, you have Viles in the same bracket. But again, assuming the favorites win, Vinchester and Nikov. Who makes it?
Between those guys, I feel like I'd go Nikov, just because I feel like he'd be extra motivated because it is a South American event. Also, Nikov's coming off a pretty major health surgery. Yeah, he had appendicitis, and thank God he's okay now. So shout out to Nikov, happy he's doing well. So actually, maybe it's more of an emotional prediction from me, but I hope he does well for his sake. That being said, Vinicius is also a really nice guy, and he helped me for Red Bull, so I can't say I don't want him to qualify as well. So if I had to say who's going to do it, I'd probably go Nikov, just because he's going to be a bit more motivated, potentially. But then again, I love Vinchester as well, so we'll see what happens there.
By the way, Tato has now officially joined Onimaru. Again, forgot to mention it, but now they have a 10-player roster. How crazy is that?
Only 10? I thought they had 25. It feels like they have everyone. I'm surprised it's only 10.
Yeah, I think the idea is that they can make 3 teams, or they think about making 3 teams for that 3v3 league, which we don't really know too much about.
But yeah, adding a 10th makes it that you have one person on the bench, right?
Lewis, obviously.
They need 2 more. They need 2 more, and then they'll have 4 teams. So,
my goodness.
Fair enough. But by the way, I think it's crazy because that means that the Onimaru sponsor or founder or whatever you want to, the boss, that he really has a passion for the game. It's a lot of investment. We know players are getting a salary. They are organizing a LAN now, and I mean, Microsoft sponsors the prize pool, but prize pool is just a tiny sliver of the cost. So this is really someone who cares about the game. It's always nice to see, always cool to see, right?
I actually love the Onimaru project. The boss, I know who it is. Super nice guy. The people working there, amazing people, and they're treating the players incredibly well. So I don't know about the longevity of the project. I hope they can they find a way to make it sustainable. But I fully support it. I think they're amazing. They're doing so much for the scene, despite being a really small startup, right? So if you guys can support Onimaru in any way possible, be it follow them on their YouTube and Twitch channels, definitely do it. They're doing good work for the scene for sure.
From what I understand, again, people can correct me if I'm wrong here, they're not really trying to be profitable. I think it's pretty clear for the sponsor and for the owner, this is a passion project. And I heard they have a 5-year plan. I don't know if that's true. I think Nego Drama told me. So it's like the manager, I guess you would call. They have a 5-year plan. Whether they stick to it and what they do after those 5 years, I never know. But 5 years sounds amazing to me. So let's hope that's where it remains. Okay, I don't know if you guys have checked the map pool for the tournament. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts there. There's one map in particular I'd like to hear your opinion, though. It's called Mont Pasquale. It's like the Pilgrims. You guys remember Pilgrims from back in the day? Tristan, do we have like a clear opinion on what's better on that map? If to drop your TC on the initial island or go to the main island? Do you have a take on that? Because I feel like pros are split there.
I haven't seen enough games to necessarily know right now. I do feel as though that map is very focused on the hill with all the golds in the north. I've seen games where players are massively behind, but if the other player just camps the hill with like traction trebs, bombard cannons, and castles, eventually like all the wood and the resources run dry. So if I'm thinking of the right map, these names do not make it very easy for me to remember them all when they're all new.
Man, it's my proud moment when I can pronounce things correctly and teach everybody how to pronounce these names, and so it's a big moment for me, you know.
Yeah, so I think it depends.
Like regarding that map, I think there's something that no one's doing right now. I haven't played it, so the players in the qualifier should test it, but somebody who's active should test
for you. Someone tests for you so you know if it works or not.
Yeah, I'm just talking here. You guys figure out if this works or not. But so what I'm thinking is, after watching like 2 games there, you have to TC your island for sure because you have to win the water. So then you TC your island, you win the water, and if the guy went outside, he can't contest water because he's much slower. So you win water, and then instead of just waiting to Castle Age, you transport right away to the mainland. You put 5 vills there so you're not stranded away from the mainland, and then you go scouts. You just delay your Castle Age, go scouts while fishing, and then you have some control of the main island whilst having the water one on your starting island. So you have a much better economy, and you're never stranded. Just do that. I'm pretty sure it's a win. And then thank me in the interview if you win, and if you don't win, then you never heard it from me.
You can't lose with that one. You can't lose. Okay. Great. Tristan, all right, so we're about to let you go, but I'd like, if you don't mind, obviously, I'd like to hear, because we talked about the Titans League here in the podcast, obviously, and I know it's been now a couple of weeks already, but I guess now we do have a little bit of distance to the tournament that you can maybe more, unemotionally and more logically think about what happened during the tournament. So I'd love to hear an assessment from your perspective. You're happy with what transpired? Are there things you want to fix or you want to improve for the next season? I'd love to hear your thoughts there.
Yeah, the answer is it's a mixed bag. Like, I'm very happy with how it went. Every time there's an event, though, I always want to make it better for everyone involved. So there's also 5 or 6 things that I would like to tweak in an ideal world. Considering the scale of the event, what we did is amazing. Over 100 players were paid out. A high percentage of players, I think it was like 20%, maybe 25% of players had never had any earnings in Age of Empires 2 before. The amount of interest and intrigue and practice that players in like the gold and silver category put in was super motivating to me. Players telling me they would have stopped playing AoE 2 if it wasn't for TTL. Like, oh man, like hearing that stuff's awesome. The tricky thing is creating an event which has players for very different categories. There are players in Platinum, for example, who could have an off season. They're not gonna lose much sleep over it because they can make every other big event, and they can play in all of them. Whereas in like some of the silver players, let's say, it's like the only event they get excited for the entire year. So there's like it's like a mixed bag of how the players see it with importance. And it becomes very complicated with like scheduling and stuff like that, right? So that's the biggest challenge for me is having 100+ players all play at the correct time. Well, that's all before the broadcast aspect. So yeah, I'm very happy with it. I thought it was really cool. We added really cool tools for people to enjoy the event, like fantasy teams and predictions and their stats and all that stuff.
Sorry for interrupting. That website with the stats, that was fantastic. I love to see that.
Thank you.
A great job with that. Yeah.
And honestly, I like was so busy I forgot to even show the tools half the time. So that's an improvement right there. But yeah, for me, it was easily the hardest event I've ever run. And so I'm still at the point now where I'm just like, oh, it's just like, we've got something here. We built it up to 100K. I'd love to turn this into something where it's like the league into a LAN. Like there's so much things that could happen, but I gotta sort out some stuff behind the scenes because the amount of stress and work on top of covering the event was very high. And we had a 3-man team, and that might need to be more to make it happen again in the future. So I know that's not like the most direct answer, but it's basically like very happy, but also still very much exhausted with everything that transpired. And I want it to continue and be better for everybody. So that's the goal. I'll have every conversation I can behind the scenes with players and admins and World's Edge, and we'll see. Who knows?
Tristan, what do you think about this idea? I think you're not going to like it, but I'm still going to say yes. These are 3 leagues.
Yeah.
What about you pick 2 tournament organizers or 2 streamers that you trust, and you delegate the Gold League and the Silver League to them, and you have no responsibility to cast any of those games?
Casting is not the work that I'm referring to as the problem. I will know life for 3 months for this format, no problem. It's all the other things of like, can we get the schedule for each week ready? Can we deal like imagine if like 10% of players were problematic with scheduling. That's every group is affected, probably, right? Mm-hmm. So it's more so like that stuff and like the stress on me and the team to try and manage that. Having said that, I think it's really good. Like I was really happy to see people dedicate some time for Silver. Like Ornlu went all out this season. Like was casting a lot of TTL Silver. You know, Danielle has done it. Mem's done it. I think the issue for streamers is if I'm streaming it, there's a lot less motivation for them to do so because then I'm live. And so that's where a Torn, it's like, this is my big event for the year. This is like my baby. I love these players and I want to watch these games. I don't really want to just not go live. And like I said, I didn't really want the rest if the games were good and the content was there. It's more so like getting the whole format, particularly when it was so close to Red Bull and other things. It was very tough, I think, for the scene with the way the calendar shapes up to have everything played out
very packed,
with perfect timing. So it's less about just TTL problems. I think it was more of like calendar problems. Start of the year, Red Bull happening. Everyone has different personal situations. So those were the challenges. But you're absolutely right. Like, I want this to be great for everybody. And a long event where I am live all the time, it does make it tougher for other creators. But if the number one thing that makes it better for other creators is for me to just straight up not cover the event for a period of time, that makes it A, less motivating for me, and B, less likely that we get all the money from World's Edge to continue to rise because then the viewership could be hurt. So
it's a weird situation, tricky, right? Because you being live is good for World's Edge. It's good for you, and it's also good for the players. Like the players, it's different for a Silver League player to be playing in front of like 100 people on some smaller streamers, or like maybe 200-300. I don't want to undermine anyone, but like 200-300 people, or in front of like 3,000 plus people on T90's chat. On any given day, right? So, I'm kind of with you there, Tristan, that it's a difficult situation. But from my perspective, I felt like there was enough going on with TTL, like with all the leagues, that like people just enjoyed it. If anything, like the number one criticism that I found was that because you had silver, then gold and platinum, it was like a lot of like similar games happening. So my idea, which you might like more than Mesmora's idea, hopefully, and I'm just thinking out loud here.
Sure.
Is change up the platinum format, especially in the group stage, to make it different from the other leagues, so that you can watch silver, you can watch gold, and you're not burnt out from watching platinum because it's something different. And so my idea was you make it 2 groups of 12 players, and it's a round robin, or not a round robin, but like a Swiss stage. So the winners play the winners, losers play the losers. And that way you don't know who's playing who. You have to keep up to like kind of see what's going on. And that way it's best of 3s instead of play all 3s. So every individual match is like a little bit more, let's say, hype. You don't have those like dead games or anything like that. So I felt like that kind of format for Platinum specifically could lead to like a more dynamic group stage. So I want to hear your thoughts about that. just for context, I did pitch this in the last podcast, but you weren't here as well, so I'm just pitching it directly now to get your thoughts on it.
Oh God, there's so many things to think about though. Like, there's like,
good.
You got to understand for tournament formats, guys. It's like, and not you, but like for viewers, there might be 3 good ideas. Like top 3 ideas are great, but 4, 5, and 6 are reasons why you can never ever adopt an idea, right? I mean, you pitched it very nicely. The pitch was great. I'm immediately I think about scheduling, because we had situations where players knew where they were supposed to play and who they were supposed to play against, and we had nonstop scheduling headaches. So I would wonder if like availabilities and like planning and stuff like that could be an issue. In theory, though, that's manageable. That's kind of like every other event in a way. I do think that what this could do is it could remove some of the importance of some of the later sets in a way, because like, you know, like the SysCon series against you, Hera, I don't know if that's a good example, but you know what I mean, right? The nice thing about TTL is you have like the promotion and relegation battles. So I'd be curious to hear how that group would operate in terms of the relegation.
But like bottom 3 of every group, right? Or like both groups. I think you would still have really competitive matches at the end, because it's like bottom versus bottom.
So bottom 3 would
like,
go, yeah.
Like how it happens now is that SysCan has to 3-0 me, so it's like number 1 of the group versus number 6 in the last week for him to have a chance. But like in the last week, it's like SysCan versus Rampart in this format with like the Swiss system, and they're like kind of like head to head, both fighting for their lives. It's like a gladiator death pit instead of like a guy who has very little chance. So I feel like that's kind of like more of a positive for the last week games.
It could be. To be honest, it was. I hadn't heard the suggestion before, and I haven't really thought about it. And we've talked a lot about a lot of things, so I don't know if I really. I don't really if I have the mentals at the moment to really dive through it. I don't hate it. I personally do hate lack of consistency throughout an event. Like that's something that really bothers me. So a format being different in each league. I already spend so much time trying to inform people on how something works. So then, like, let's imagine you get it. You're like, oh man, this TTL thing is cool. Then Platinum rolls around, and you're like, wait a second, the whole format's different. Like that would be weird. So
it's also like, oh wow, Platinum is different because it's the best players in the world. This is really cool. I'm gonna stick around. I don't know. I just feel like, I feel like there's different framing. Like I get what you're saying that like people can, it can be confusing. Like obviously this puts in like a lot more explaining on your end for sure. Like getting people to understand what's going on is difficult. So I'm with you there for sure.
Yeah.
But I just feel like adding that like, oh, this is specific to Platinum League. These are the best players in the world. This is the Platinum League. It's different around here. I just feel like that's a little bit more interesting and hype for like the average fan. Again, not to say that the way we have it now is bad or anything. Like it obviously produced a good tournament. There's no major issues, but you know, just kind of like thinking out loud for the future.
Well, I'll tell you, I already have like 3 or 4 format things that we've been looking at and discussing. Not going to discuss it here, but the next time we chat, I'll add that to the list, and we'll talk about it. And then if there's any more conversations on it, I could just bring it up and we could discuss it here. So I said, cool. I think there's a lot of positives to that. Worried about the potential negatives, but I'm not sure if we could explore that all right now. So,
of course,
yeah. You know, just to close, it's like it's extremely difficult, right? Because I'm really ambitious and I want to host a good event. I want to kick ass, and I want every player to really enjoy it. So for me, I enjoy the event. I'm like, man, that was satisfying. But I'm immediately like, what can we do differently? So I just want to like conclude my statement on TTL with that, because it wasn't like I was here like, oh my God, it was amazing. You know, like that wasn't the energy that I brought, but it's just because I always want to do better. And so that's how I feel at the moment with TTL. And within the landscape of how TTL's played out, where it started to where it is now, massive improvements. The money's way higher. The motivation's way higher. It's expanded further into the scene. So I think it's one of the most important things that I've ever done as far as the whole player base, and like the future of the scene will benefit greatly from it. So I'm hoping to make big tweaks, bring it back, and have it be even better.
Awesome. Tristan, we really appreciate your time, but this podcast would not be complete without asking the question that I always have to ask you every time I have you on the podcast. It's been now almost 3 years or 2.5 years before the last Hidden Cup. I imagine it's unlikely we're going to get it in 2026. What about 2027? Are there any hopes that you can give to the fellow?
I mean, it's
Around
funny. TTL was like a 4-month. Well, actually, technically, it was like 6 months if you count the bronze. And as I'm covering TTL, you just had viewers like, "This is cool, but where's Hidden Cup?" You know. And I was like, "Ask me after TTL," and now it's after TTL. So,
So it's time to ask.
the answer is going to have to be vague. I know it's a tournament that people really enjoy. I will only do something if I can give 110% to it, and I know that I could make the improvements that I want to it. I agree it's been a while. There's just a lot of ideas, a lot of things that I have as a whole, and you better believe that I'm always working on stuff. So sorry to be vague. The answer is not yes or no. It's a maybe someday type thing.
So you're saying there's a chance. That's what I'm hearing.
I'm not saying there's never going to be another Hidden Cup. So there's
we'll take
that.
it.
So
We'll take it. Tristan, Hera, guys, was awesome as always. Thank you all for taking the time to be here. And yeah, Tristan, thank you so much for taking the time. And we'll keep in touch, bro.
absolutely. Thanks for having me on.
You folks at home, if you guys had a good time, again, make sure to follow, like, comment, all those things. And we'll be back soon. Thank you so much. See you next time.
Take care, everyone.